Hi, and welcome to Career and College Matters. I'm your host, Dr. Mildred Charles, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in to our show. The purpose of our show is actually to discuss important topics surrounding today's college and career concerns. Our goal is to inform, to empower, and to inspire you, our viewing audience, with information that can actually help you discover and achieve true career purpose. Today, I'm so honored and grateful to have someone whom I truly admire, respect, and he's a close mentor. The title of our show is actually How Parents Can Help Their Kids Succeed in Public Schools. So our guest is none other than Howard Burnett. And Howard, I want to thank you so much for being on our show. Before we actually get started, I just want to tell people, just your background.
Sure.
Howard has worked as a teacher for many years, and because of his leadership skills, he was able to work as the interim chief executive officer for Prince George's County Public Schools. He also worked as the deputy to the county executive for Health and Human Services. And now he works as a president of the president for a nonprofit Prince George's, and also the president of FACTS, which is a student-built housing organization. So again, thank you so much, Howard, for being. So Howard, today, as you know, we're going to talk about how parents can help their children succeed in public schools. So based on that topic, I just wanted to get some information on you. You can talk to our guests about parental success and parental engagement.
Well, actually, there's so much that parents can do, and it certainly takes, a great relationship with their child, but also with their school. And regardless of what the level that a child may be, elementary, middle, or high school, the parent can have a great relationship with their school.
Okay.
But of course, there are foundations that a parent would want to have as they send their child off to school. I've always said that if you're an outstanding teacher or an outstanding educational leader as a principal, I was a teacher, assistant principal, every position in central office before I became interim superintendent. There was one thing that I always wanted parents to ensure, and I know every good educator would rest comfortably if every parent, regardless of income, regardless of where that child is, if they sent their child to school ready to learn. That's all a great educator wants, is for that child at any level, whether it's pre-kindergarten or 12th grade, for that child to come to school ready to learn. And by that I mean have the right attitude about why they're there and what they're going to do once they get there. And if that child comes to school ready to learn in each classroom, then all of those outstanding educators can ensure that they receive the skills and acquire all of the different techniques that are offered to them.
Exactly. So what can a parent do to help their child go to school ready to learn?
Well, it's expectations and the teaching of responsibility. And sometimes we think, that as a parent, and it doesn't matter whether you're, an educator, regardless of the education level of the parent, all of us were became parents and were not taught, how to be the most effective parent, regardless of income. So, if we know that from day one, we're going to instill certain values and characteristics in our child, they're going to have those every year wherever they go, and our life as a parent is going to be much easier as they
Absolutely.
reach adulthood, because we started when they were 1 year old, and we recognized
Yeah.
that responsibility isn't something that they just grab out of the sky when they're
Absolutely.
18 years old. We've taught them every step of the way to be responsible children, to be responsible preteens,
Yes.
and to be responsible teenagers. So that yields a responsible adult. So those key foundational skills,
Yes.
because people will take a child
Yes.
or a young person and train them with the technical skills. But what they don't want to do is teach them how to be a good team member, how
Exactly.
to have the correct responsibility, how to be on time, those basic values and skills that they should come to the table with. And they cost nothing. You know, they
Exactly.
can be taught by all of us. And as a parent, if we take that initial responsibility, then they're going to have the most important skills that they
Exactly.
need to be successful in any environment.
Absolutely. And those skills that you're talking about, the soft skills, I remember hearing you do a presentation about that in Bowie. Those soft skills actually, they transfer into their professional careers. So it actually, as you mentioned, does start at home.
Absolutely, and they grow
Yes.
as they get older, and we're supposed to expect them to grow, you know, and that open communication with your child. I remember talking to a parent group that I was working with, and the parent said, "Well, Mr. Burnett, tell me something to do when my child stomps up the steps and slams her bedroom door." I said, "Well, you know, whose steps did she stomp up?"
Oh,
I said,
yes.
"And whose door did she
Great
slam?"
question.
I said, each of those items, you know, are your items. And if
Yes.
they don't know where the line is, then they will constantly cross that line because they're unaware of it. I said, certainly, you know, she doesn't even have to have a door on her bedroom.
Yes, that's
That's
true.
an entitlement that you provide. And the parent laughed and understood what I was saying. But
Absolutely.
certainly, you know, regardless of the age, if we focus as parents on
Yes.
all of those beautiful values and skills that we want them to have when they go off into the workforce, they're going to be extremely successful. Now, naturally, as a parent, we want to have the proper expectations that we convey to our child, recognizing that everything we do, they're taking note of. So we want those positive expectations, the expectation that they're going to do the best that they can possibly do in each situation that they come in contact with. You know, I've had the fortunate opportunity to raise 4 wonderful children who have
Absolutely.
gone kindergarten through grade 12 in Prince George's County Public Schools.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing because actually those couples of children are 20 years apart. So my oldest daughter is soon to be 41 years old. My oldest son turned 39 years old yesterday. They graduated from Gwynn Park High School.
And I'm sure lots of parents, you know, can relate to that, especially the ones from Gwen Park. But what's amazing about that is their current accomplishments. So if you could talk to us a little bit about
certainly,
that.
and what's amazing about their accomplishments is that their friends accomplish the same things.
Wow.
You know, so what I tell parents is that don't just pay attention to what you do in the house, but
Yes.
also pay attention to their who their friends are. Because
Exactly.
when they reach that age of, say, 12, 13, even younger, it's important to see who their friends are and what types of friends they're choosing. Invite that group of friends over to the house, because you want them to have friends who have the same values, motivation, and want the same things that they want. Now, what's
Absolutely.
interesting about that is that when you've given your children those key skills and expectations, they give it to their friends.
Exactly.
I've never seen it not to occur. You know,
Absolutely.
I know my daughter, you know, finished medical school, but her and her girlfriends decided that they, as my daughter had promised me, she was not going to have me pay for medical school.
Wow,
So
that's an
she and her
accomplishment.
girlfriends decided that they were going to take a military scholarship. All of them became Army doctors, and
Wow.
all of them are successful doctors out of the Army. Now, Uncle Sam paid for their
That is so
medical
smart.
school.
Yes.
And so those types of things transfer, and our children transfer them to their friends. So, you know, that's one of the most important things. Know who your child's friends are, and ensure that they're taking them in the same direction. My youngest daughter just
Yes.
graduated, because I told you I have two sets, the 41 and 39, and then 21, and soon to be 19 this year. She's
Yes.
18, just graduated from Bowie High School this year. And she's doing the same thing that she did at Bowie High School, that great group of friends, leading, and now she's in her first year of college. I was just visiting 2 weeks ago, and she introduced me, which is rare for a first year college student, to her 10 close friends.
Already.
5
Yes.
males and 5 females. And I know she's going to do the same thing with that group of friends
Yes.
that she did with all of her friends at Bowie High School. And they take each other into a positive direction
Yes.
and end up yielding success as a group.
So that's interesting. You know, both of your daughters obviously accomplished, your youngest daughter on her way to being, you know, all that she needs to be. Can you tell us a little bit about your sons?
Sure. And what's so interesting is that, you know, I was a single parent with my 2 oldest.
Yes.
And so I knew as a parent, I was the first one who went to college in my family
Oh,
and got a
wow.
college degree. So the expectation was that my children would do the same.
Gotcha.
So my son, when he was ready to graduate from high school, he actually had to work hard at convincing me that a 4-year program was not for him.
Wow.
You know, because the expectation in my mind was that he needed to go to a 4-year college. And he told me, he said, Dad, Tiffany is the oldest daughter's name, could go
Yeah.
to school the rest of her life and be happy. He said, I just want computers.
Yeah.
So we found Test Electronics and Computers.
Yes.
He finished the program, went in as a 17-year-old, came out as a 19-year-old. Do you know he's never been unemployed and has a 6-figure salary
Wow.
for years, and now is a high-level computer supervisor at the State
That's
Department, and
amazing.
has traveled to more than 40 countries installing network systems in
Wow.
embassies around the world. But now he supervises that group. So there are many opportunities if we listen to our children and then
Yes.
guide them appropriately. They're going to be successful. And I'm doing the same thing with the 2 younger ones. The youngest son, he's a senior at the University of North Carolina School
Yes.
of the Arts, a fantastic dancer.
Wow.
You know,
Which
who's
is
had-
very different.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. And he's had the last 2 summers when he was out of school, the Alonzo King Lions dance program flew him out there, no charge to me, fortunately, to dance with their company, you know, during the last 2 summers for 6 weeks. But he's back to school now on scholarship at the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. So I recognized early that he loved to dance. I
Wow.
was a sports fanatic, but he wasn't. So I
Okay.
let him dance.
Oh,
I put him
wow.
in dance programs, let him enjoy doing what he loved to do. And he's so passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I know he'll be successful in the same way that each of the children have been.
But you know what's so interesting about your story? It's each of your children, they are accomplished, as you mentioned. They went through Prince George's County Public Schools, and they all found their own career path. But what's even more interesting and more impressive is that as a parent, you allowed them to you know, find their way. So especially with your second child, your son, you know, in our county, we want our kids to do the 4-year route, but the fact that, you know, he decided that he wanted to do this and you were supportive, what would you tell our guests if their child comes to them and they say, you know, Mom, Dad, I want to do the 4-year thing, but that's not for me right now?
Yeah, I think what we have to recognize is that at every given stage for our children, they need support on their dreams, and we can help them determine what those dreams are. And there are many resources throughout the community that can provide information with regard to what their pathway may be and what opportunities they may have in the area that they're passionate about. Because certainly if they're not passionate about that degree that they got at the 4-year institution where they went, that's not going to ultimately be the area that they thrive in and stay in. I know one of my former students came to me a couple of years ago, and she was doing great at a technology company. But she said, Mr. B, and I happened to meet her and her mom. She said, I love, children. And I really have found that while I can make this particular income at this technology company, I'm not passionate about it. I really would like to teach. So I guided her to a teacher preparatory program that Prince George's County Public Schools has for professionals coming to other fields.
Oh, wow, that's
2
wonderful.
years ago, and now she's an outstanding elementary teacher in Laurel. And so those opportunities,
and following her
they're
passion.
going to ultimately take them. What we would like to help them do is to determine what they're actually passionate about early on, so that they don't spend those 5 years, but 5 productive years. Make sure that they're productive, doing something that they're not passionate about, and then ultimately doing what they are passionate about. And there are many opportunities at every high school. I know when I was interim chief executive officer for the county back in 2005, I spoke to a Washington Post editor, and I told him that in every one of our county high schools, there were outstanding students. They were getting full scholarships, at whatever high school that I named. And he said, well, Mr. Burnett, but we only know about this particular high school that everybody wants a child to. So one of the things that I did was start the Student of the Week program, where they highlighted an outstanding student from every high school. And I'm glad they still do that at each high school. It surprised me when my daughter was selected from her high school last year as a senior. It was so interesting. But at every high school, there are outstanding students who have decided, with the help of their parents, peers, and community, that they're going to achieve, and the school, with the teachers and staff, are assisting them on their journey. And so he was amazed. And fortunately, after 12 years, they still have that program, because truly, I've always believed that we can help our children succeed where they are. And there are great programs at different high schools. I know the Academy program that's at different high schools, and building, at the high schools are great opportunities. So there are good things happening. We just have to talk more and share more in terms of what those good things are.
Absolutely. And some parents, some of our viewing audience might say, oh yes, your child, your children did well because you're an educator, or you're a former interim superintendent. Of course they're going to do well. What do you say to those parents?
I say that, believe me, that has very little to do with it, and many educators who are sitting out there will tell you that they have the same challenges, the same struggles. And just like I said, with the two older children, I was a single parent, struggling as a teacher, and then I worked my way up as a principal, and I recognized that throughout the community, there were positive opportunities
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to ensure that my children took part in. And even now, and it's happened for each of the four children. My daughter, who just started college, she, called, she said, "Oh, Daddy, I made the dance team. Oh, Daddy, I was selected for the musical
Wow.
at her university, on the Eastern Shore where she is." And so I'm thinking, and she said, "Oh, yeah, Daddy, I got an A on my chemistry test,"
Okay, wow.
because
Don't
those
forget that,
things are
yeah.
important. But all of those activities and all of those positive experiences make up the child. And it doesn't matter what community they live in or how much,
Yeah.
the income is, because all of us are in the same, struggle to make sure that we provide what's best for our children. I've never met a parent who didn't want
Want the
what was best
best,
for their child,
absolutely.
and certainly they should come to every school where they are with the
Yeah.
expectation that they're going to do their part to ensure that their child gets all of the opportunities that they deserve, and certainly that role as a parent, as an advocate in the school, certainly schools, welcome
Mm-hmm.
positive parents who want to be
Involved and
involved, and
engaged.
certainly, those opportunities, end up getting extended to all children through that positive involvement.
And it's no wonder why, you have such a huge impact on future educators, your children. But, if you look at the current state of, Prince George's County Public Schools, some people might say, wow, that's terrible, it's just really unfortunate, and parents might feel like they're doing everything that they need to do, but yet they feel like they're getting the shorter end of the stick. What would you tell those parents given the current climate of where we are, you know, in
Yeah,
terms of the school system?
unfortunately, and certainly, as a executive for the school system, I knew that what gets portrayed, more often than not, is a story that sells. So, there are, for every negative experience, there are
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of positive experiences. So, that first is the absolute truth. But, as I said at the very beginning, if a parent is instilling in their child all of those positive characteristics and positive values and skills to be
Mm-hmm.
successful, they're going to be, successful as they move up through, the school system and become adults. Now, with regard to, Prince George's County Public Schools, I'm still, a positive advocate for public
Absolutely.
education. I grew up in Washington, D.C., went to District of Columbia Public Schools and stayed there for
Mm-hmm.
college, and then ended up, fortunately, in Prince George's County and spent
Wow.
31 years in the school system. And I still hear from students, from those years ago who are now, parents and some actually grandparents who are successful and doing well with their children. There are a lot of great programs in Prince George's
I
County
agree with
Public
that.
Schools,
I agree.
and the challenge is making sure that those opportunities are extended to all students, and that each child has an opportunity to be successful in the way that they can be successful. All four of my children are different in terms of what they are
Mm-hmm.
passionate about, but they're the same, and anyone who knows all four know that all four are the same in their values, in their motivation, in their
Absolutely.
desire to be excellent. See,
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that I ensured and their moms ensured that they would have.
Absolutely. So as we get ready to wrap up, what message would you like to share with our viewing audience regarding what we've talked about? One final thought that you'd like to leave
Well,
them with?
certainly be involved and be engaged. Take
Yes.
that opportunity. Write on your calendar which day you're going to visit your child's school
Okay.
from September to June. Because if it's not scheduled, we don't do it.
It's
Take
true.
the opportunity to be involved. I have been a volunteer. I retired from the county government in 2011. I currently chair a great foundation where students of 10 high schools build a house every year. And these
Wow.
are Prince George's County Public School students who build a house every year and then sell that house at the end of the year. They get every
Amazing.
skill, exterior and interior, for building that house. We sold last year's house for $459,000.
Wow. And this is the
and
student
people,
built
yeah,
housing
and my
that you're
friends say,
talking
how would
about.
who want to buy a student-built house? And I say, a very smart person, because those contractors ensure that everything is done in a great way. And the whole board, we don't have any employees. We're partnering with the school system, but the whole board are volunteers, builders, contractors, union professionals. And then I chair a nonprofit Prince George's County, a membership organization of over 100 nonprofit organizations in Prince George's
Yes.
County that serve infants through seniors.
And a lot of them have a lot of the youth education.
Absolutely.
And so, as you said, make sure that to our parents that they schedule, some time to visit the school. So that's one step, and then, like, let's say 2 or 3 more steps, real quickly.
I would
before-
say, again, focus on what you can do, making sure
Absolutely.
that your child, comes to school ready,
Ready
to
to
learn,
learn.
and that when they come home, there's a scheduled time for homework and the completion of those responsibilities, and then fun on their side. So then, and get to know, your child's teacher. Once you engage your child's teacher, whatever level, they're going to give that little extra, I hate to say
Absolutely.
it, to make sure that your
Your
child is successful. Now, certainly, I expect every teacher to work at making sure every child is successful. But if you're there, and if you take the opportunity to be there on different occasions, your child knows how valued they are,
Exactly.
and everyone in the schoolhouse knows how valued
Exactly.
they are. It's just natural for that. But have the expectations that your child is going to do the right thing going to school, and that the school is going to do the right thing for your child, and take the opportunity to follow up and ensure that's happening for 'em.
And coming from someone such as yourself who has, 4 examples of, the fact that public schools do actually work, I'm sure that our viewing audience is very grateful, as I am, for you coming on the show today and sharing your wisdom, your expertise with us. And again, just continue to do all the work that you're doing, because our community and our county is benefiting from all the contributions you are making. It is truly an honor, and I just want to thank you again for being on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you once again for tuning in to Career and College Matters. Tune in next week. We will have a wonderful guest for you to learn from, as always, and enjoy. And thank you once again.